On today's episode of the Habitz Podcast, we've got Iain Griffiths, franchisor at the Party Tent Company, and he'll be sharing with us his good habits when it comes to franchisees looking to purchase their first franchise. So thanks for joining us in the studio, Iain. There'll be a few people now wondering what qualifies you to be our guest expert when it comes to franchising.
Yeah, so I've run a marquee hire business for 10 years, and then 2 years ago it became evident that the model was eligible to be franchised. So we started the process of franchising, and I've spent a lot of time and money learning the process, getting all the legal documents together and everything else to get to the point where I can take on board franchisees.
So you are a franchisor and you get people now that purchase areas off you so they can hire out your marquees?
Yeah, that's right. So they take a geographical area of 200,000 households in their area, and we get them set up, bit of training, give them some marquees, we give them social media platforms, a website, basically just a business in a box to get them to emulate what we've done in the Warrington area.
So you'll have seen a lot of different types of people that are looking to purchase a franchise. So what are some of the things that these people need to be aware of before jumping in with both feet?
So if you're looking to buy a franchise, you need to make sure that you're going to find the business that is going to be right for you. It's pointless you going into marquee hire if you don't like working outside, because a lot of the work is outside, and you'd probably better suited to a different franchise model if that's the case.
So do you think like a lot of people that say they are considering a franchise just go, I want a Subway because that's a brand they recognise, or I want a McDonald's, without actually thinking, do I want to work in retail or fast food or in those industries?
I think when you're looking for a franchise, it's about budget as well, that you've got to start your franchise. So, you might sort of want to go for a McDonald's or a Subway, but there is a vetting process in that, and you might not be selected. And also as well, McDonald's can be anywhere up to £250,000, and you've got to relocate to a different area. You're not guaranteed a McDonald's like we live in Warrington. We wouldn't be guaranteed that McDonald's around the corner in Warrington. You might have to go to Leicester or wherever, so you'd be better starting off with a smaller franchise setup because there's less risk. With a larger franchise setup, they'll take a high percentage of your turnover as well, whereas with a smaller franchise setup, you're going to have a less sort of fees.
So is that one of the things that you think many franchise or potential franchisees don't recognise, is sort of the costs that are involved, the support they get and stuff like that when they are looking at potential?
So I get a lot of inquiries where people just don't even know what franchising is and what's involved. As soon as you deliver the initial franchise fee, they're sort of like, well, we haven't got that sort of funding up front. But when it comes to funding a franchise model or any franchise that you're going to buy, banks and finance companies will favour you if you're going to buy a franchise rather than a startup, because it's already a tried and tested model. So they'll offer you've got more chance of getting finance to help you with starting a franchise.
Oh, I never realised that.
Yeah.
But I suppose it makes sense, doesn't it? Because you've got the support there, the marketing functions.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's tried and tested. There's proof of concept.
Yeah. Well, you can also sort of prove profit and loss based upon other areas that it's already trading in. So you can go to the bank and say, look, the Manchester branch is doing this. That's how much they've done in the first 3 years, and that's what they project us to do in this year. The banks will look at that and go, well, it's less of a risk. So if you go to a bank with a dream written on a paper as a business plan and it's not a tried and tested model, it's highly unlikely that they're going to give you the money.
Yeah, so do you think one of the bad habits there then from a potential franchisee is not realising how much money will be involved in setting up a franchise, or how much it will to fund it to start with?
Yeah. So that's sort of when I'll get an inquiry and they'll think that, you're just going to give them a business for, a couple of grand or whatever it is, and when they sort of see the cost that's involved, they discount themselves straight away from that.
So what are some of the good habits then that you would tell a potential franchisee? So what are some of the good things that they should be doing when thinking about buying a franchise?
So the first one I would say is when you're doing your research is do you whittle down maybe 3 franchise offerings that you like and do your due diligence on each one of those and make sure that you understand completely what is going to be involved in running that business.
Yeah.
Because if you don't do that, you might get a nasty surprise and you'll be too late then because you will have signed maybe a 5-year franchise agreement.
And do you mean a nasty surprise in terms of what the level of support that's offered, what's the job, or what the actual franchising?
Yeah, just what the job entails, really. So if you don't like working weekends, then, a marquee hire franchise is probably not the best thing for you because
that's when
there's a bit in the summertime you're going to have to get stuck in at the weekends. There's no getting away from that. But in the wintertime, you because it is quite a seasonal business, you get a bit more time and freedom in the wintertime. So if you don't like working weekends, then a marquee hire franchise. But again, if you look at, if you were looking into a Chinese takeaway, that's going to be really busy at weekends. So that might not be right for you. So it's looking at doing the due diligence to make sure that franchise offering is going to fit your lifestyle.
Yeah, because I suppose really that is what you are buying, aren't you? In a way, you're buying something that's going to suit what you want to get from life, and will fit around
so that
your
leads
life.
on to the second point. If you if you don't get the if you think that you're just going to buy a business and have a great lifestyle straight away, then maybe starting a business or a franchise is not right for you because the first few years of starting any business, you're going to have to get your hands dirty and get stuck in, and it's not the franchisor's responsibility for the success of your franchise. They give you all the tools that you need to start your business, but it is the franchisee's responsibility to make that a success.
Yeah, well, it's the same as anything, isn't it? It's only you're going to get out what you put in, I suppose.
Yeah.
And they're not going to drag you kicking and screaming, are they, to be successful? They're going to give you the opportunity to become successful, the support, the marketing.
Well, any good franchisor will sort of give you KPIs as well to keep you on track. So if there is anything sort of, if you're getting many inquiries, for instance, you're getting a set amount of inquiries for a month and you're not converting them, there's something going wrong with your sales process, something that needs addressing. So franchisors will do that for you, but it's up to you to sort of take that feedback on board and correct what you're doing, and then you'll start converting more leads, for instance.
So I used to work for a company that franchised, and I used to basically help set up and train the franchisees when they bought a new area. And I was amazed at how many of them believed that just because they'd bought an area, leads were just going to come piling through to them, and they're going to have like an unlimited, untapped amount of leads from when you've still got to pick up the phone, you've still got to work, you've still got to get yourself out there, book meetings, go and quote for work and stuff like that. So
absolutely, yeah. So on my model, for instance, we have what's called a Trello board. So we create sort of social media content for the franchisees to pick off and stuff like that. But it's up to those guys to sort of schedule the content, create some of their own content to complement what we're giving them and sort of adapt it to their areas. So it's it's pointless putting hashtag marquee hire Warrington if they're in London. So they need to adapt the content that we've given them and sort of get into that marketing mindset.
But even follow up those that do respond.
Absolutely,
on those posts.
Yeah. So in any business, the quicker you respond to an inquiry, the more chance you've got of signing that business up. So if someone does email you on a Sunday night, you've got to sort of get in touch with that inquiry and make that initial response. Otherwise, they're going to go to someone else. And
I've seen your marketing on LinkedIn and stuff like that, and I've seen that you do a lot of stuff with ex-forces. So is that mainly who you find are attracted to your franchise specifically?
Because I'm ex-forces and I left the military and started this business and I've really enjoyed it. It's not going to be for everyone who leaves the armed forces, but I do believe that some people who leave the armed forces, this will be the right business for them. So it's not to say that other people outside the military, we don't sort of accept those as franchisees, because, ultimately some people outside the military will have the sort of minerals that we're looking for, So that's I do just like to help. That's a passion of mine, just to help people who are leaving the armed forces, because it's quite a tricky sort of part of anyone's life if they're leaving.
Like readjusting to Civvy Street.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So if I had any questions about buying a franchise, or more specifically, if I was interested in the franchise that you offer, where can I find more info?
Yeah, so I'm on LinkedIn, so it's just Iain Griffiths on LinkedIn, or you can go to thepartytentcompany.com and download our prospectus directly from there.
Thanks to Iain Griffiths from the Party Tent Company for sharing with us his good habits when it comes to franchising. If you've got experience in franchising and you'd like to share your good habits, let us know in the usual places and join us next time for some more Habitz Podcast.